Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
This transcendental vibration by chanting of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept the humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's a recording of Bhagavatam class given by Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur in 1973. Canto 1, Chapter 10, Text 1. So, as usual, I advise turn up the volume for the listening devices that you use. Okay, sometimes the volume is low in the recording. Without further ado, we'll start the class. Hare Krishna.
uvāca hatvā svariktha-spṛdha ātatāyino yudhiṣṭhiro dharma-bhṛtāṁ variṣṭhaḥ sahānujaiḥ pratyavaruddha-bhojanaḥ kathaṁ pravṛttaḥ kim akāraṣīt tataḥ. Śaunaka uvāca hatvā svariktha-spṛdha ātatāyino yudhiṣṭhiro dharma-bhṛtāṁ variṣṭhaḥ sahānujaiḥ pratyavaruddha-bhojanaḥ kathaṁ pravṛttaḥ kim akāraṣīt tataḥ. Śaunaka uvāca hatvā svariktha-spṛdha ātatāyino yudhiṣṭhiro dharma-bhṛtāṁ variṣṭhaḥ sahānujaiḥ pratyavaruddha-bhojanaḥ kathaṁ pravṛttaḥ kim akāraṣīt tataḥ. Śaunaka inquired, hatvā, after killing, svariktha, legal inheritance, spṛdha, desiring to usurp, ātatāyino, the aggressor, Yudhiṣṭhira, King Yudhiṣṭhira, dharma-bhṛtāṁ, of those who strictly follow religious principles, variṣṭhaḥ, greatest, sahānujaiḥ with his younger brothers, pratyavaruddha-bhojanaḥ restricted, bhojanaḥ acceptance of necessities, kathaṁ how, pravṛttaḥ engaged, kim what, akāraṣīt executed, tataḥ thereafter. Translation. Śaunaka Muni asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira, assisted by his brothers, rule his subjects? Surely he could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness.
So, here the most important word is yudhiṣṭhiro dharma-bhṛtāṁ variṣṭhaḥ. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was known as Dharmaraj, very strictly following religious principles. So, he killed, for his sake, 64 crores of men were killed in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So he was not happy. Although the battle, the fight was a religious fight. It is not whimsical. Just like in the modern days, the politicians, they fight unnecessarily to fulfill their desire. Just like in our country, unnecessarily they divided Pakistan, and to fulfill the whims of the leaders, they are fighting. With nobody's gain, neither there is any religious principles. So fighting whimsically by the politicians, that is not sanctioned. That must be dharma-bhṛtāṁ. Dharma-bhṛtāṁ means religious fight. Fight on religious principles. So, what was the religious principle? What is that man? Machi tarana. Here it is said, hatvā ātatāyino. Ātatāyino means aggressor. If somebody comes to your home to kidnap your wife, to take by force your property, or to set fire in your house, he is called ātatāyino. He should immediately be killed. It is not that non-violence nonsense. If somebody is coming to attack you unnecessarily, you must kill him first. It is not Vaishnavism. Oh, this man is coming to kill me, all right, let me embrace him. No, that is not, they don't. When there is ātatāyino, aggressor, you must fight, you must kill. That is religious. So, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, dharma-bhṛtāṁ variṣṭhaḥ, he was so strictly followers of religious principles that when even Krishna advised him that you go and say some lies to Dronacharya, because Dronacharya will not believe anyone. You say and go there that your son Ashwatthama is dead. And Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj hesitated. How can I say this lie? Of course, this is too much following religious principle. This is also another instruction. When Krishna says that you go and speak the lies, he should have done immediately. That is dharma. Because dharmantu sākṣāt bhagavat pranītam. Dharma means which is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is dharma. You cannot manufacture dharma. Just like nowadays, so many dharmas have been manufactured. They are not dharma. Dharma means the order which is given by the law. That is dharma. Just like Krishna says, sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja. We have manufactured so many dharmas, Hindu dharma, Muslim dharma, Christian dharma, Parsi dharma, Buddha dharma, this dharma, that dharma. They are not dharma. They are mental concoction. Mental concoction. Otherwise, there will be contradiction. Take for example, the Hindus think cow killing is adharma, and the Muslims think that cow killing is their dharma. Then which is correct? Whether cow killing is adharma or not dharma. So these are mental conduct. Chaitanya Chaitamritakar says, ei bhalo, ei mondo, sab mono dharma. Mental concoction. Real dharma is what is ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is dharma. Therefore Krishna says, sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja. Give up your all manufactured dharma. Here is the real dharma. Saranam vraja. Just become surrender unto me, and that is real dharma. Dharmantu sākṣāt bhagavat pranītam. Just like law. Laws can be manufactured or can be given by the government. You cannot make any law at your home. That is not law. Law means the order given by the government. The supreme government is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aham sarvasya prabhava matta paratarang nanyat. There is nobody greater than Krishna. Therefore, the order given by Krishna is dharma. This Krishna consciousness movement is that dharma. Krishna says, sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam saranam vraja. You give up all other so-called dharmas. This dharma, that dharma, so many dharmas. Simply just surrender unto me. So you are preaching the same principle, and that is confirmed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Amar agyay guru haiya taro ei desh, jare dakho tare kaho Krishna upadesh. This is done. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not manufacture any new system of dharma. No. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Namo Mahavadānāya Krishna Prema Pradayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini. So, The only difference is he is Krishna himself. The only difference is that Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, directly orders that you give up all nonsense, simply surrender unto me. This is Krishna, because he is Supreme Personality of God, is giving directly order. The same Krishna, because people misunderstood him, even big scholars, they say it is too much, that Krishna is ordering like that. But they are rascals, they do not know, they cannot understand what is Krishna. Therefore, because people misunderstood him, Krishna came as a devotee to teach how to surrender to Krishna perfectly. Krishna came, just like sometimes my servant gives me massage. I say, by giving his head massage, do like this. So I am not his servant, but I am teaching him. Similarly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but he is teaching perfectly how to approach Krishna, how to serve Krishna. The same principle. Krishna said, you surrender unto me, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you surrender to Krishna. So on principle there is no change. On principle there is no change. So, here Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, dharma-bhṛtāṁ variṣṭhaḥ, of all the followers of religious principle, he is the foremost variṣṭhaṁ. So he was very sorry that for my sake, for enthroning me, so many people have given their life. Not only his cousin brothers, the soldiers, because at that time, 5,000 years ago, these kings or the emperors of Hastinapur were ruling all over the world. This planet was called Bharatvarsha, the whole planet, not this now small tract of land. The whole world was called Bharatvarsha. Formerly it was called Ilavati Varsha. Since the reign of Mahārāja Bharat, this planet is called Bharatvarsha. So, the Pandavas or the Kurus, they were the rulers of the world. As such, when there was fight between the two sections of cousin brothers, from all parts of the world, somebody joined this side, somebody joined that side. So, I think in the Mahabharata it is stated that 64 crores of men were killed and many disappeared. Nobody knows about their whereabouts. So actually, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, dharma-bhṛtāṁ variṣṭhaḥ, he was so great, stalwart, foremost, followers of religious principle, he was very, very sorry. For my sake, so many people laid down their life, so he was not happy. Therefore, in our Shastra, when you commit some necessary sinful activities, to counteract it, a fasting is recommended. Therefore, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was observing fasting, taking little necessities. Therefore, Śaunaka Muni is inquiring that sahānujaiḥ pratyavaruddha-bhojanaḥ kathaṁ pravṛttaḥ akāraṣīt tataḥ. That he was undergoing some prayaśchitta system. Then how did he take the reins of ruling over the kingdom? That was his inquiry. Śaunaka. Actually, the Srimad-Bhāgavatam was first of all, in the beginning, the first beginning of Srimad-Bhāgavatam was in front of Mahārāja Parikshit. Sukadeva Goswami explained, and Suta Goswami was in that meeting also. So he learned explanation of Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami. This is called parampara system. Now, generally the professional reciters of Bhagavatam, they do not follow the parampara system. They make business. Just like we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we are discussing about the warfares. The professionals, they will go immediately to Srila, as if these things are not necessary. Anyone who hears Bhagavatam from this professional, they do not know what are the other subject matter in Srimad Bhagavatam, because they haven't got the chance to hear. They do not discuss. Whenever there is recitation of Bhagavatam, it means they are discussing some Rasalila. Because the Rasalila is very palatable to the rascals. They think that Krishna is ordinary, a young boy, and the gopis are young girls. And as they read novel and dramas, one man, one woman, their activities, they think Bhagavad is like that. They think Archi Shiladhi Gurusu Naramati. They think like that. The gopis, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the pastimes of Krishna is the gopi, it is most confidential part of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is to be relished by the liberated soul, not these ordinary persons who have got sex attraction. They are unfit for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Rasalila. Unfit. So, unfortunately, these professional reciters, they do not begin Srimad Bhagavatam from the very beginning, where Vedanta Sutra is discussed. Athāta Brahma Jigyāsa, Janmadasya Jataha. So, Bhagavad begins with this word of Vedanta Sutra. Janmadasya Jataha Annayāti Tatatascha Artheshu Avijñā Sarat. So it is in the beginning, Srimad Bhagavatam is the explanation of the Vedanta Sutra. Srila Jiva Goswami has recommended, therefore, one should learn Bhagavatam from a person who knows Vedanta Sutra. Sruta grihitaya. Bhaktya sruta grihitaya. Bhakti should be generated sruta grihitaya by studying Vedanta Sutra. Now, bhakti is not sentiment. Bhakti is the transcendental science. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Jnani vishishyate. It should be in full knowledge. What is Krishna? Not that accepting Krishna as something fictitious. Even big scholars, Dr. Radha Krishna, Gandhi, they cannot understand Krishna. How they can understand? It is not understandable by the fools and rascals. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid jatati siddhaya jatatam api siddhyanam kaschid vetimam tata. So understand Krishna is not so easy thing. Manushyanam sahasreshu, out of many millions of persons, all rascals and fools, animals, what they will understand Krishna? Therefore Krishna personally says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid jatati siddhaya. Siddhi means perfection. All over the world we are touring, all full of rascals and fools. Nobody is trying to make his life perfect. What is that perfection? Paramang siddhim. That perfection is mam upita kaunteya dukkhalayam asasatam napnibanti mahatmana sang siddhim paramangata. To go back to home, back to Godhead, that is the highest perfection of life. Nobody knows what is Godhead. Nobody knows how to go back to Him. So, to understand Krishna and to become a devotee of Krishna, it is not very easy thing. Very, very difficult. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahavadana Avatar, he has distributed this Krishna science and love of Krishna in such a easy way that by his mercy even a most rude person can also understand if he takes the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was a Krishna Bhakta, and therefore he is explaining his dharma-bhṛtāṁ variṣṭhaḥ, the most foremost personality, because he knows he agreed to fight with his cousin brothers because Krishna wanted. Krishna, when Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, there is no need of fighting because the other side, they are my brothers, nephews. I better prefer to give them the kingdom. I shall beg and leave, but I don't want to fight with my brother. Immediately Krishna condemned it. Kutaste kasmalamidam visami samupasti. What nonsense you are speaking. You must fight. Then still he was unwilling to fight. Therefore the whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken to him. And after explaining Bhagavad Gita, he inquired from Arjuna whether you are now determined to fight. Yathechasi tatha kuru. This liberty was given to Arjuna. I have explained to everything. Now whatever you like you can do. So Krishna does not force anyone to become Krishna Bhakta. But he gives the chance. He explains everything, that if you become Krishna Bhakta, surrender soul, then you will be happy. Otherwise you will not be happy. This is Krishna. Kuru, he says, sarvadharman parityajya mamekam saranam braja. He does not force. Now it is our choice whether we shall surrender to Krishna or not. These are the instructions of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, that one's ultimate goal of life is to surrender to Krishna. That is the ultimate goal of life. But they do not know it. Nati vidu sarthagating hi Vishnu. They do not. They think for some worldly happiness and go to some demigods. That is condemned in the Bhagavad Gita. Kamastasta hitagyana jajanti annadevata. They have lost their intelligence. Those who go to worship other demigods for some paltry benefit, temporary benefit, antavattu phalam tesa tad bhavati alpamedasa. Those who are brain substance is not very much in good quantity. Instead of brain substance, there is cow dung. Such people go to worship the other demigods. There is no necessity. There is no necessity. Of course, we do not show any disrespect to any demigods. We offer all respect, but we do not accept that Krishna and all other demigods are on the same level. As the Mahārāja says, that either you chant Hare Krishna mantra or chant Durga Durga, Kali Kali, it is the same. This is Raskala. This is Raskala. Hare Rama, Shastra says, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevala. Shastra does not say that you chant this name, that name, any dog's name, cat's name, and it is all. Shastra does not. Shastra says, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevala. Kalu nasti, nasti, nasti. So, jasastra vidimasya bhattati kamakar na siddhing savapnati. Anyone who avoids, disregards the injunction of the shastras and acts whimsically, you will never get perfection. No sukhang na parangati. Therefore, our principle is this Krishna consciousness movement means we strictly follow Krishna. Our leader is Krishna. Nitya nityanam, chetana chetananam. So everyone requires a leader. I have talked many times. The leader must be followed. When I was talking with Professor Kotovsky in Moscow, I asked him, where is the difference between your philosophy and our philosophy? You are following Lenin, we are following Krishna. So we have to follow one leader. You cannot avoid. So he was silent, he could not reply. So, to become perfect, to achieve perfection, one has to follow a leader. So why should we follow the misleaders, the rascal leaders? Let us follow the perfect leader, Krishna, and become perfect. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful lecture again by Srila Prabhupada, as always. Dear devotees, this is the time to unmute yourself if you want to contribute some takeaways, ask some questions, connect some dots. Spiritually, this is the time to do it. So please unmute yourself and share your takeaways and so on. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance to Sri Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, this is a very, very, very powerful class. And it's 110.1, right?
Yes.
I have to go back and read and hear it. It's way too powerful. Of course, every lecture of Prabhupada is powerful, but this is, really powerful. I was really meditating on the point of liberated soul, when Prabhupada was talking about Srimad Bhagavatam and Rasa Leela, how devotees, people in general, they just jumped up to the Rasa Leela. He literally called them rascals, you know, and I mean that was, yes, dear Krishna, I agree. Extremely clear instructions, so clear, short, to the point, simple instructions. I completely agree with you on that. I was really meditating on this point by Srila Prabhupada, you know, when he said it just now, you know, that only the liberated souls can really understand the Rasa Leela. So then I was Googling online, you know, in Vani quotes, you know, who was defined a liberated soul? And I mean, I found so many quotes on Vani quotes of who is a liberated soul. You know, Prabhupada says anyone who is transcended the cycle of birth and death. And then, you know, there's another one where Prabhupada says one who is not conditioned by the mind. And then there's another one that says by Prabhupada, there's so many quotes by Prabhupada on just that one word of who is a liberated soul, like so many definitions of a liberated soul. So then I started thinking, whoa, Prabhupada has given so many definitions to this one term of who's a liberated soul. And I'm thinking, you know, there are many of us, including myself, that are not at that level. So who are we to really read the Rasa Leela and to understand it at a very high transcendental platform? And that's why Srila Prabhupada says that we should not think that we, you know, think that we can understand the essence of the Rasa Leela because we are rascals. So I was just thinking, Krishna, we just got to follow the instructions of starting from the foot of the Lord, you know. As they say, when we approach the deity, we start by looking at their feet, which is the first canto, the first, you know, level of Bhagavatam. Because I think when, you know, I'm assuming my limited understanding is when we go up to the face, it's just going to blow our minds by their beauty. That's why I think it's called high level. But I was really, you know, thinking about this term that Srila Prabhupada quoted in his lecture. Only a liberated soul can understand the Rasa Leela. And then going to Vani quotes, Prabhupada has defined a liberated soul in so many ways. And I'm thinking, whoa, man, you know, yeah, we have a long way to go. I have a long way to go, but that was one of my realizations. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for bringing it up, the whole definition of a liberated soul. And I wasn't surprised when I heard you say that in different places, the Prabhupada gave all kinds of definitions, different kinds of definitions about a liberated soul. So what was coming to me when he said that liberated soul has particular properties, particular behavior, particular way of looking at things. So all of that has to be described in order to have a full picture of a liberated soul. That's why definitions are given like that. And there's certainly about the Rasa Leela, where these professional reciters of Bhagavatam go straight to that and make a story out of it, that it was certainly the wrong thing to do because people are not at the liberated stage to actually appreciate that. I remember one lecture, Srila Prabhupada was commenting on the Rasa Leela and how people normally take it, these conditioned souls. He quoted so many places in Sanskrit, in the Shastra, and then he wound up ending by saying that what the Rasa Leela is supposed to do to us is to make us less lusty. Now think about that. A person that is really appreciating the Rasa Leela will be less lusty. It actually takes lust away. What do the professional reciters do? Talk to people that become more lusty because it's like a boyfriend, girlfriend, a Krishna is dancing with all these beautiful women. Therefore, then they get lusty. They think in terms of lust. But actually, if you're qualified to hear Rasa Leela, it will make you less lusty. So many of us, if not all of us, are not at that level.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Prabhupada put that there in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in order to have us appreciate how wonderful Krishna himself is. Not that the Rasa Leela is a dance that we can, or activity that we can relate to so much. If you're a conditioned soul, you cannot relate to it. And if it makes you lusty, you got a problem. Real problem. Big problem. So Canto 1 and 9 and 11 and 12 is where we need to be sitting. 1 to 9, and then 11 and 12. But the birth of Krishna, those are wonderful things to see how Krishna himself is such a wonderful, it gives us a little hint of if we take this bhakti process seriously, taught by Lord Chaitanya, then we have an opportunity to be on that wonderful planet where this situation occurred. But we have to be purified first. Mm-hmm. And so if our false ego just tells us, oh, I'm just qualified to hear about a rasa dance or even talk about a rasa dance. Some people they meet new devotees and immediately they're talking about the rasa pastimes of Krishna to them. It just blows their minds. It actually brings more confusion. So we have to be careful when we talk about it, where we talk about it. Mm-hmm. And actually, it's much deeper than Srila Prabhupada actually put it there, because other books show how deep the rasa and the conjugal relationship of Krishna is to some extent, even to some extent. But because we wouldn't hear it, so we wouldn't get it. So Srila Prabhupada scaled back some of those, real activity. Even that, sometimes people's eyes go, what? Did this really happen? The gopis got out in the middle of a night and all of that. And they say, well, no. And some people are saying, well, if you look at it, how can that be the right thing for Krishna to do? Therefore, Krishna is immoral. All of these, really, really conclusions that don't make any sense, because the person is just not at that level of understanding what is going on. Mm-hmm. Hare Krishna. Anyway.
In fact, I think one point that you mentioned is so true, because if we, I've heard from many Prabhupada disciples say that Srila Prabhupada himself did not speak much, very little on the Rasa Leela, like very little, like not even 1% is what one devotee said. And it's very difficult to find lectures of Prabhupada speaking in the Rasa Leela because we were not ready. And secondly, I think one concern that we all have to be very careful is, I think we shouldn't think, oh, because I'm initiated, so now I'm liberated. So now I can hear anything and everything. That is not how it rolls, One who is initiated does not mean that one is immediately liberated without following the process. It's just like saying, I've gone to, the temple, I've sat in there, I did my rundown, I can go out and do my nonsense again. But, yeah, so I think it's really important that, one goes to Prabhupada's books and read the different definition that Srila Prabhupada has given to the term liberated soul, and really check ourselves. Are we at that level? Because just because we got initiated recently or 10 years ago or whatever, and we still have all these attachments, it does not mean that we are liberated if we haven't surpassed all that. And just like Krishna just posted, a bona fide guru can instruct us to get into advanced topics when he thinks we are ready. Exactly. Because the guru knows when we are ready and when we are not ready, and I think we should just follow the instructions. Yep, different slokas for different folks, absolutely. And we shouldn't say, oh, because I'm initiated, so I'm liberated. No, but then we have attachments. I think it's a really, really important point that we really make, follow that. And I think one point that you mentioned was really, really powerful that got me thinking. When you said that when people read Krishna's pastimes, the amorous, the Rasa Leela, they start getting lusty. Well, if you think about it, that's because if we think of the 6 enemies of the mind, one of it is lust, but it all stems from illusion, greed, anger, and so on and so forth. So if we have one of the, lusty, whatever, from reading Krishna pastimes, Krishna Leela, the Rasa Leela, that means we are still not hankering, we still have the other 6 enemies of the mind. If the lust is, interfering when we read the Rasa Leela. So that's the reason why Prabhupada never spoke about it. Hardly spoke about Rasa Leela. He just said, just follow the instructions. Very, very clear. Just go from ground level. We cannot jump from 1st grade to 12th grade. And that too, when we get promoted, it's by the mercy of the teacher. So like what Dear Krishna posted, it's by the mercy, how did he say it? Yes, when the guru thinks we are ready, follow the guru's instructions. Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, this is a very important point that devotees tend to get, drifted away. And especially when Prabhupada says telling someone who is not, anybody Rasalila is a rascal. I like when Prabhupada says rascal because it really is a slap on our face, We just can't speak Krishna pastimes and Radharani's pastimes and Gopi pastimes to anybody. It's actually offensive because they are making offenses and we are having them make offenses. So it's really, really, really careful. We have to be very careful. We should just stick to the ground level and just be on the ground. Sorry, Hari Krishna. Thank you, Devakrishna, for your point.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else that want to chime in, question, take away? No?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept
Hare
my
Krishna.
humble practice. All glories to Prabhu.
Glory to the Prabhupada.
All glories to the devotees on the call. Again, always Prabhupada classes are like pretty strong. And the way he always mentions the thing that he has a very specific point that this Krishna consciousness movement is not sentimental. Well, he has always presented that point. He never misses on that point. He says Krishna consciousness is not sentimental. It is transcendental science. Today as well, he mentioned that point. We need to understand that science. And if actually, and I like what I have observed in my life, maybe it's wrong, but my observation is that if we are doing any process sentimentally, like even the rituals that are followed, if we are doing it sentimentally without understanding what we are actually doing, in the future, either we or our future generations or at some point of time, that particular practice will be discontinued for sure. Till the time we don't understand the science, why we are doing it, it will always discontinue in future. So this particular Krishna consciousness movement has such a scientific value. It's not like something out of sentiment we are doing. So if once we understand those things, then it will be very easy for us to practice as well. So that was my takeaway from the class actually. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your contribution. Any other? I want to ask a question or contribute? Okay, so I'll share some of my takeaways. We've got quite a bit of discussion now about this. Srila Prabhupada is talking about Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira. After the war, Srila Prabhupada explained, and Mahabharata indicates 64 crores of soldiers were killed. 1 crore is 10 million. So 64 crores is 64 million times 10, 640 million. Now, our understanding is that Krishna was there. Now, those who were killed like that in a dharma-yuddha, a war, that not this political type wars, but a war that is dharma-yuddha authorized. It is a necessary war. That type, the soldiers that get killed go to the high planets. And they all knew it. And so it wasn't like 640 million lives were wasted. 640 million, not 64. 640 million lives were not wasted. 640 million souls went to higher. That is, they got a better next life. Mm-hmm. That's what happened. So Krishna actually gave them mercy in that way. And those that died looking and appreciating even the beauty of Krishna, they got a chance not only to go to the heavenly planets, but even higher than that, to the spiritual world. Some of them did go to the spiritual world. But everybody, it doesn't matter whether another soldier killed one other one, they all, as long as you died, you went to at least the higher planet, the heavenly planets, which is way better, even though it's still material, than what we have here. So, Srila Prabhupada said, politicians are causing unnecessary fighting for their own selfish motives. And that type of fighting, those wars are not acceptable. So there must be dharma-yuddha. Then he talk about aggression. Ātatāyino means aggression. Aggressor. When someone wants to kill you or destroy your property, you have to fight and protect yourself and kill the aggressor. That's allowed. Still in American law, that is still allowed. And then Srila Prabhupada talked about dharma. But first, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira should have followed the order of Krishna when it came to Krishna's revealing or unfolding the plans to get rid of Dronacharya. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira should have followed the order of Krishna. Because dharma is the code, real dharma is the code given by Krishna. Then Srila Prabhupada made a very important point that hopefully will help cement the fact that we are in Krishna consciousness and not in other religions. He said the dharma for the different religions are mental concoction. Now, that's a very strong statement. The dharma for, the different religions are mental concoction. But then he backed it up by giving proof through just two of them. The dharma for the different religions. Hindus say there should be no cow killing. Cows should be protected. Muslims say cow killing is fine. But if you see Hindu is bona fide religion, Islam is bona fide religion, and he's saying two different things about how cows should be treated. So which one is correct? And so the order from Krishna, that is real dharma. That's what we follow. That's why Krishna says, give up all religions and surrender to him. To surrender to Krishna, obeying his instructions, that is dharma. But then he says, big scholars are saying that Krishna is asking too much. So then Krishna came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to teach how to surrender and to serve Krishna. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was very sorry that so many soldiers had died for his sake. So he wanted to perform some prayaśchitta, and he went into Prabhupada went into a little detail about Sutta Goswami telling the rishis at Nami Saranya, and Śaunaka Rishi inquiring from Sutta Goswami, but Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira is supposed to rule the kingdom. So how would he rule the kingdom and undergo prayaśchitta at the same time? You just want to do penance for, this, how many people, 640 million people being killed because you put on the throne. But the point is, that was Krishna's desire. And again, as we said earlier, those 640 million soldiers, those souls, were killed true enough, but then they got a better next life, better situation. Professional reciters, we already talked about that. They don't start at the beginning of Bhagavatam, which is the real explanation of Vedanta Sutra. Bhagavatam is a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, or the explanation for Vedanta Sutra. So professional reciters warned us they should not be listened to by devotees of Krishna. They shouldn't. One thing. Krishna is not so easy to understand. He quoted that because many people, thousands of people, they come to Krishna. Hardly one gets to know Krishna in truth. But Krishna is now easy for us to relate to because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has distributed the love of Krishna through the chanting of his name, Krishna's name. And so by Lord Chaitanya's mercy, we can now relate to Krishna, have some, even if it's a minuscule understanding, it's still quite significant because of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We say minuscule because Krishna is unlimited. That is one understanding. If we know a million things about Krishna, still it's minuscule because you cannot compare a million to infinity. And he's infinite in all respects. That is Krishna. Hmm? Krishna also gives us another point here Prabhupada made. Our free choice, our free will, we can still exercise it. Krishna never forced Arjuna to do anything in the battlefield. He explained the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, and he did not force Arjuna to agree, but Arjuna was convinced and then agreed later to fight. Hmm? So Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. And if we become surrendered souls to Krishna, then we will also be happy. Hmm? He also brought the point about the Mahārāja saying that chanting any name is okay. You can chant Hare Krishna, you can chant Durga, Durga, you can chant Shiva, Shiva. Those people who speak like that are rascals. He said it. Mm-hmm. Our Krishna consciousness movement, it means we follow Krishna. He is our leader, and we have to follow in his dharma. His laws are the real religion that we have to follow. So Srila Prabhupada really went into quite a few details with references, of course, about so many things that we need to be aware of. We follow Krishna consciousness, we follow Krishna's law. And the other religions are not at the same level. Shiva is not at the same level. Shiva never said that himself. People are just saying that about him, which is not right. Lord Brahma has never said that about himself. So Mr. All explaining Srimad Bhagavatam in the earlier cantos. Hare Krishna. Any other? We're almost at the top of the hour. Any final comments? If not, then we'd like to thank all of you for coming on this morning. You hear Prabhupada always through his lecture educates us very nicely. Hare Krishna. So please have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhibhyo eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again for coming.